It's time for the Week 8 Fantasy Football Exploit and Avoid. I'm joined by our fantasy expert, Mike Wilking, to break it all down for you. And Mike, let's go to the Thursday night game, Vikings Buccaneers, a pair of Vikings guys you say should exploit.
The Vikings passing game didn't get a lot done in Week 7 whatsoever, and I think a lot of fantasy owners are going to be leery of playing anybody but Percy Harvin or Adrian Peterson in this game on Thursday night. But I think Christian Ponder, as a plug-and-play guy in Week 8, has some upside. Kyle Rudolph's owned in a lot of leagues. I know some folks were upset with the no catches in Week 7. You know, I certainly understand that, but it's a better matchup. Tampa's not that great versus the pass. I think this might be Ponder's maybe last hurrah as a fantasy guy to kind of start. The matchups get a lot more difficult for him going forward, and they like to run the football, but I think this is a matchup he might be able to exploit.
Always tough with that Thursday night game for fantasy owners. You don't want to have to use up players so early, but the Vikings do have a favorable matchup there. Speaking of favorable matchups, we don't say this often, but the Jets passing game might have one this week against the Miami Dolphins, and Jeremy Curley has been the big play guy with Santonio Holmes out.
He's been the big target guy too, 26 in 3 games, with Santonio Holmes being out. He had a long catch versus Miami in the first meeting between the teams. He was very productive last week, season highs and career highs in targets, catches, and yards. I think he's someone that really is going to be owned probably in the bulk of leagues by the time this week is over. So if indeed he is on your waiver wire, I think you pick him up, and he deserves strong starting consideration this week.
Yeah, that Dolphins run defense, we know how good that is, so maybe the Jets will be forced to pass it more. Now onto the avoid side, the Panthers running backs, D'Angelo Williams and Jonathan Stewart, always frustrating for fantasy owners anyways, but they have a tough matchup against the Bears defense this week.
It's just a problematic situation in Carolina right now with the running backs because the running game isn't as effective as it was a season ago. You know that Cam Newton is going to get his touches. You know that Mike Tolbert's going to get his touches, and Mike Tolbert has as many rushing touchdowns as Williams and Stewart combined this season. It's a problem, a big problem for fantasy owners, and I really think you need to stay away, if you can, against a very good Chicago run defense.
The last one to avoid this week, you might be surprised to hear this name, Matthew Stafford with the Detroit Lions. A tough game on Monday night against the Bears, faces a ferocious Seattle Seahawks defense this week, and Mike Stafford was the type of guy, maybe even an end of first round, early second round pick for a lot of teams, and just has not had the season to like his whole offense so far in 2012. Is this the week against Seattle that you put him on your bench?
Well, it depends. It always depends in terms of your roster depth. And look, for some owners, he's unbenchable. He's the best you've got, you roll with them, no matter the matchup, no matter the hard times. But I think when you look at Matthew Stafford right now and you look at this passing game, it's not hitting on all cylinders. And they've got a tough matchup against a Seattle team that really defends the pass well. So when you see this set of circumstances, maybe you've got a backup that's been outperforming Matthew Stafford. This might be the week to kind of roll with that backup and let the Lions passing game sort itself out. I think there's going to be value with Stafford down the road. My goodness, it's just kind of tough to have as much confidence as you did entering the season in this passing game.
I'll tell you this about Matt Stafford, though. If there was a fantasy league just devoted to the fourth quarter, he would be probably one of the highest ranked guys. Unfortunately, it takes into account the entire game. So to see the rest of the players that Mike says you should exploit or avoid this week in fantasy football, check out his column at ProFootballWeekly.com.